Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. How's everyone today? Good, good, good. Glad we can all make it this afternoon.
Woo.
Thank you, Louise. Yes, so don't forget, well, obviously, you're watching this, so you haven't forgotten, that the UK is now on Greenwich Mean Time as opposed to British Summer Time. So our clocks went back. So we're back on normal time, aren't we?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, Louise. Can you say hello, Louise? Make sure everyone can hear you.
Hello, Louise. Can everybody hear me?
Can everyone hear Louise? Louise. Good. Yes, and we watched Spirited. We started to watch our Christmas films, haven't we?
We did start our Christmas films on the weekend.
Our Christmas films have started to get out, and we watched Spirited with, what's their names?
Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds.
And Ryan Reynolds. Good film. Love that.
What's that noise?
That's my...
Oh, stop now, yeah. Okay.
So that's on Apple TV. That's really, really good. Not quite sure whether it's on any other channels at the moment, but we started our Christmas films.
We did.
Good as well it was.
We never get round to them, so we started early.
Yeah, we always seem to like watch 3 or 4, and that's about it. So
yeah,
we
run out of time.
7 weeks beforehand. Good, good, good. Ah, right.
Good.
I'm glad everyone can join us today. Lovely to see you all chatting away. Excellent. And we're on time as well, which makes a change. Because we're always running late, aren't we? And that's about it. The one thing that I want to say is that members of At The Bench, you've been longing, and I've been teasing you about the upgrade that's going to be happening. Well, I'm pleased to say that finally this week will be the week that At The Bench gets changed. I've said this like every week for the last 3 or 4 weeks.
You do look a bit pale and waxy today, so I kind of half believe you this time.
It's just transferring everything from one platform to another. The latest problem that we've got now is that if you've got your usernames and it has a space in it, the new platform doesn't accept you. It catches that as a special character.
But these are the kind of tests that we don't physically do, but we've got somebody who advises us. These are the kind of tests that are being run. So literally every single I is being dotted, every T is being crossed, and everything's being double and triple checked. So our website guy, Steve, is just doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more work than anybody anticipated.
Oh, it is. I think even he is pulling his hair out, because it was all to do with the transferring all the transactions from PayPal and Stripe, making sure the recurring ones go to the right website. Are they right? What happens if you increase the price? What happens if you decrease the price? What happens? So we've gone through all that. And Louise has actually got on her little A10, not on the Stream Deck, but on the A10.
Oh, sorry.
Where you drag these.
Yeah, no.
We've got it's like 7 pages all crammed into one, so you can drag one across and you can show. So this very, very quickly is like the main page. It's got a little bit of information on it. It tells you what At The Bench is all about. It's got a nice little slideshow, video on the top, video on the bottom as well. So that's what that's all about there. Tells you all about it. And then once you get into the members side, there's all on here. Really hard to see. Do apologise for that. But
proof that it is actually happening.
Proof that it is actually.
I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yes, proof it is there. So yes, you've got like if you're a Freeview member, along the top is like Freeview suggestions. You've got films that you've been watching, even though perhaps you haven't saved them or favorited them, they are there for you to rewatch. There's things like what's the most popular downloads or most popular watched, what's the film is trending, what film is picked by us, latest films, latest workshops. It's got the forum chat, the latest discussions on there. It's got a feed that isn't visible at the moment on there regarding, thank you, regarding the store. So any new tools will appear on there as well. Forum discussions. It's got a roadmap, so if you're just starting making jewelry, it goes through setting up your studio, how to saw, how to solder, how to cast, how to set, and so forth. And there's suggested films that you go through with all accordions that all open up and everything. And it's got pretty much all that I could possibly think of, really, and Steve could think of. And in the top right hand corner, we've got your little logo. Click on that and you can got your account details. You've got all the films you favorited, or your gallery, and your tickets will all be there in one place as well. So in theory, it should work.
It is coming, and we're closer than ever.
We're going back to our ticket system as well, as opposed to emails. So you'll have to open a ticket, so then you can direct that to the correct department, whether it be accounts or technical or whatever it would be, and then the relevant department then will answer those. And we have a complete breadcrumb trail of all the information as well on the ticket system. Is that right?
Yeah, I've just never heard of breadcrumb trail before.
Haven't you?
No.
Really?
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 Breadcrumb trail. So, you know, as an email, emails will get lost. I sent an email last week. Did you? I can't see that email, but the ticket system will direct everybody to the ticket system. So there'll be none of this. Louise at andrewberry.co. There'll be none of this. Okay?
You can still email me for chats. Please don't stop doing that. And please don't stop sending me your photos and let me know what you're doing, because I do really love that. So don't just go silent on me, please.
But the reason why we're going over to the ticket system is that we do get so many requests for help, and we do try and help everybody, but paid members at the bench will get priority.
They have to, don't they?
Because
really?
they are paid members. Anybody who is not a paid member of At the Bench, should get answered, but we can't necessarily say when.
We have to get through the At the Bench members first. And yeah, I know I'm sorry to have to say that, but it's, you know, obviously our paid members would be miffed if we didn't do that. So, but yeah, we're not saying we won't answer unpaid members' queries, but it's once we've done all the others.
Yes, so that's what that is all about. So, but the site's going to be down for about 2 days, 2 to 3 days. So I think it's going to be taken down, I think, tomorrow. And it's going to be coming back up on Thursday. We're just going to make sure that all permissions are all correct. Everybody, the 30,000 people transferred across.
Are you stressed?
Yeah.
I think I was a bit sick in my mouth.
They've been doing. I don't know how many test sites we've got. They've been importing, checking, exporting, importing, altering things, importing, refreshing, and it's just so technical. We've got so many test sites that we're practicing on, making sure it all works for the final transfer. But there's a backup. If things don't go right, we've got a backup. We can switch back onto the main site should everything go.
It won't.
Should anything go? Should anything go?
It won't.
So there we go. All right. Should we start? Oh, Louise, did you want to say anything as well?
I do just want to talk about the new Gemology Rocks course just very briefly, if that's okay.
Yes.
So if you want to learn about how to recognise and identify gemstones, there's some very specific pieces of equipment which you can use. So basically, this course is designed by Kerry at Gemology Rocks, and it's to recognise and identify gemstones when buying and working on customer items. But perhaps you haven't got the time to do a full gemology diploma, which is where you learn how to use all these various bits of equipment and the tools and techniques and what to do with your loupe, what to look out for. Because it's a big commitment, isn't it, doing a big course. So Kerry's brought out a 5-day hands-on practical course, and we'll teach you the key skills to enable you to accurately identify common and commercial gemstones.
Very good.
So it's brilliant, because I do a lot of my learning distance learning.
Yes.
But I really think, especially with something as practical as this, you do need to do it practically, don't you? Which is why you have your lab classes. But you just get 5 days, basically, of just learning, practical learning. So you learn the background of the theory of gemology, the concepts, handling hundreds of gemstones, and you're taught by Kerry, who is a
Expert.
Yeah, complete and total expert. So you learn observation skills, you learn how to use your polariscope, you learn how to use a refractometer, spectroscope, I think. I did make some notes, spectroscope, and how to combine all of these pieces of equipment and tools to basically successfully identify gemstones.
Excellent.
So yeah, it's really, really cool. So it's 5 days. There's dates in Birmingham and Maidstone. It's not 5 days all in one go. It's 5 days, I think a month apart, which I think is brilliant because you get to go away, practice what you've learned before you come back. Because if the days are all, if it's like bang, 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 it's a lot to take in. You don't get a chance to practice before you come back and you might have questions. So yeah, I think it's brilliant. I can't wait to go on it. It's 5 days tuition, refreshments all day, lunch, use of all the stones, the tools, equipment. You can take your resources to take away to practice. And of course, you get to spend 5 days with Kerry, who's just a gemstone genius.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And if you've got a link, you can put a link on there.
Yes, we'll link it into the bottom, into the description.
Okay.
Yes, and you can pay in instalments.
And what cost is it?
It's 1,250, so you can obviously pay that in one go, or you can pay in 10 instalments, so 10 lots of £125, so you can spread the cost as well. So it's an absolute brilliant thing to do because you can learn all the theory, you can get really kind of stuck down in all of that, but unless you get to handle a huge range of gemstones, which is what you're going to have the opportunity to do, it's like we always say, you can learn all the theory, you can go to university, you can do everything book-wise, but until you sit down and start doing things, you don't really start to learn, and it's an opportunity to do exactly that, isn't it?
Hands-on.
Yeah.
Once you've learned that, you go back, you can study it, you can regurgitate it, you can play with the stones. Again, if you've got any questions regarding what you've done, you can always go back then.
Yeah. I think it's absolutely brilliant,
Very
and
good.
you absolutely will love it and not regret it at all. So
very good.
I'm really excited about it. So there's, I think in the Jewellery Quarter in Birmingham, it's 1st of March, 12th of April, 10th of May, 7th of June, 5th of July, and there's one in course running in Maidstone, dates between March and July. So they'll all be on the Gemology Rocks website. Anthony says, will you be able to provide some recommendations for the equipment needed for the gemology course? Kerry will do all of that for you. She'll tell you exactly what you need to. I think because she did provide me with a spectroscope, so she might even be able to provide you with some pieces of equipment.
Perhaps even some discounts, perhaps.
It's not for us to say, darling, is it really?
No, exactly.
But yes. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
I think that's all I wanted to say.
Good.
Yeah.
I do have one more thing coming up. We've got Black Friday coming up.
Okay.
Haven't we? So, coming up. What weekend's that? 17th, 8th, 19th, 20th of November, I do believe. Stay tuned for some amazing discounts of Durston products. I was in conversation with the guys at Durston. They are going to be offering you a discount over Black Friday. I think it's starting on the 17th for them. They're going to offer you a discount, okay? Which I think is an absolute amazing discount. But I've tried and I think I've got it. I've managed to get another bit of a discount on top of that amazing discount that Durston are going to give you. I'm not going to say what the discounts are at the moment, but I think if you're a paid member of At The Bench, I can get you the best discount that you'll ever get of any Durston product. It's as simple as that. But you've got
a
bold claim. It is. It'll be a discount that no one else will have, because I was told today I'm the favourite.
Andrew!
and I'm the favourite, and I'm part of the Durston family. So there we go. So what?
It's so sad.
So stick with me, guys. If you're a paid member of At The Bench, you will be getting the most amazing discount that no one else will be able to match. It's just for At The Bench members. Simple as that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Finish. Come on then, golden balls. Let's get started.
Okay, Louise, let's have our, what is it today? The 6th of November. Just less than 7 weeks for Christmas. Are you watching your Christmas films, guys and gals? Okay, Louise, let's have our first question.
Oh, yes. We're doing questions, aren't we? Okay, let's see. I didn't have a question ready, sorry, I was too busy listening. Talking amongst ourselves. Sandra's trying out silver fairy dust texture and it's coming up patchy. Do you have any tips?
Fairy dust. Okay, so I think that if you're talking about sprinkling your filings upon the surface, it depends on what you're doing, how you are fusing those filings onto the surface. The problem that you've got is that, say if you're using a flux and the flux bubbles up, if you put your little filings on top of that, the flux is going to bubble up and it's going to push the filings away, and where the bubbles are, and the bubbles will go pop, it'll be left with a nice plain bottom. So what you've got to be careful of is that you mustn't put your filings on too early. You must basically heat up the piece that you're going to be putting your filings on, make sure it's lovely and clean, put your flux on, warm it up so the flux bubbles up and then settles, but make sure you still get a lovely even covering of flux across the whole surface without too much pooling up. Then you can spread your filings on top of that, hopefully getting a nice even distribution across the whole plate or whatever it is you're doing. When you then start to melt it and fuse it, if it has still pooled, what I would do is stop. I would then quench it in acid, bring it out to the acid, apply a little bit more flux in the area where it needs to be sort of a bit more densely populated with the filings, and then apply more filings on top of those areas. It is quite hit and miss, admittedly, because it depends upon the flux and how the flux moves around, but you should be able to do it that way with no worries at all. Louise?
Yes.
Let's have another question.
Anthony just asked me for the link to the course.
Fine.
I just put it in the chat.
Brilliant.
Oh, and you have to bypass the Gemstone Advent calendar as well, so do have a look at that as well, because that's completely brilliant.
It is.
Yeah. Right, next question.
We had a good time last year with the Advent calendar, didn't we?
Yeah, great fun. It's exciting.
Yes.
Right, Louise is saying I have cast a ring, and after cleaning up, it is now too big. Is there a formula for the amount of silver to cut out to resize?
Yes, there is. It's usually 1.75 millimetre for an English size. So 1.75 millimetre equals one size. And that's UK. So, for argument's sake, here's the ring here. Here's the head of the signet ring around here. You want to take out one size. You cut. It's 1.75 for there to there. And that's it, simple as that. Join it back up and you should be right. But 1.75 mil. You can buy little devices that are this sort of shape. Yep, there's a hole there and there's another one there with a slightly smaller hole and so forth. Yeah, you can buy these little devices and that may be one size, that may be two sizes. And it's these like, oh, that's the wrong way, isn't it, Andrew? That way, there we go, that's better. So usually the distance between here then is like one size, that would be two sizes, and you can just scribe that across the back of the ring shank. And there may be another one with like three sizes, do you know what I mean? So you can easily then mark off. But to be honest, once you get into the swing of things, I've never measured. I just get my saw frame, I just come along with a ring on the end. So let me see if I got a ring by here. For argument's sake, yes, let's use this one. So, you know, there's this ring here. I just simply put it on the end of my peg. I use my thumb to go put it back, and I go, oh, is that 1.75? Yes, about 1.75, and cut through. So I never usually measure. I just do it by eye. And I wonder where that ring went. There we go. Let's have another question with you.
Janet's in Shrewsbury.
Who is?
Janet Minty.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We like Shrewsbury, don't we?
There's a huge, enormous antique shop in Shrewsbury.
There is.
What's it called?
It's down that back road. It's not on the main street. You go up onto the main street and you go down.
Is it near like a court? A court?
It runs off one of the streets downwards from the main shopping area.
We didn't have enough time to look at it while I was by Salt, didn't I? Because
it was like a court. Was it a court? Something court?
Might be.
An amazing place. You go down the stairs. There's nothing. Was there a night? Is there something?
that was inside, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's just room after room after room, and just cupboards and cupboards and cupboards.
Oh,
and
we had to go.
I was in heaven.
We had to go. We had to go back to the car, didn't we? But yeah, so try that antiques place in Shrewsbury. Amazing place. Yes.
Just can't remember the name, which is a shame.
I can't remember now.
Let me know, Stuart, if you know which one I'm talking
I'll
about.
have a look now.
Oh, Stuart, I'd like to make a silver arrow. Is it better / easier to create this from lengths of wire soldered together, or cut the whole thing out from a thickish, I can't get my words out today, a thickish sheet? Thank you.
I think it's called Shrewsbury Antique Centre.
Oh, here we are.
Try to make an arrow. I think you're better off. It depends on the arrow you want to try and make, and without knowing, it's going to be very difficult. But I would construct it from all separate pieces. For argument's sake, I would get a round piece of wire. That would be for the shaft. Okay, here. Perhaps then I would. You could file the end to make a taper on the end, or you would get a slightly bigger piece of round wire and just file that, so you get a bit of a, and solder that onto the end, so you get that sort of shape like that. And then I would get a little bit of sheet metal and sort of do that, and do that 4 times. And then what I would do then is solder that onto here and onto there. Does that make sense? Yep. That's how I would do it. It looks like a space rocket, doesn't it, really? Andrew's drawing skills are passing him again. Yeah, so that's how I would do it. Like that. I would make 4 pieces of metal like that and solder them onto there like that. That's how I would do an arrow. I could be wrong. but yeah, it seems pointless trying to carve it all or file it out of one piece. But I would do it all separately. Or if you wanted to, you could actually have that as one piece like that. Yep. So that would be the one piece like that. And then what you can do is on the end here, you would simply file you would file a slot like that across like that. And then you can slide that in and then just, yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, so that's what I would do. Yes, Lynn.
Okay. Dominic would like to supplement my stock. Do you know of any good jewellery wholesalers who have a good minimum order quantity? Probably Gecko?
Yeah, you usually have to verify that you're a business, don't you? With a lot of these places to get
But
accounts.
I know of online retailers without premises who stock Gecko.
Yes.
Because there was one not far, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Because
So Gecko would be one. The majority of these...
I don't know what the minimum order quantity would be though, but that's one that...
Yeah.
I can think of off the top of my head. Kalimar is another one. I do like their jewellery. Kalima.
Again, you usually have to set up accounts.
Yeah, you'd have to set up an account either way, wouldn't you? But
which means you've got to have trade references. So you've got to have trade references. You've got to have a bank, obviously bank as well, and they would do credit checks on you as well. So
would they do that if you were just buying stock and paying for it as you bought it, or would?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. I don't know. There's got to be some terms and conditions with these places about.
Yeah, well, they're the two I can think of anyway.
Yeah, so Kalimar.
Kalima.
Yeah. And Gecko. The majority of the places we've got to have accounts.
Well, I
just try. Just
approach them, I guess, isn't it?
It depends on what jewellery you're after as well.
Laurel, I do like some of their jewellery. This silver jewellery is lovely, a little bit more expensive than Kalimar and Gecko, I would say, but always sells very well.
Your best thing is to approach them because we obviously have a shop and we have accounts with lots of places. I don't know if you're starting what the what's the word I'm looking for?
Don't know.
Whatever. What you got to have or what you got to be to be able to open an account. But even if you just pay cash or not pay, but pay credit card, you still have to go through a vetting process.
Yeah, but what else can you do apart from having a business bank account and a website?
I don't know. Don't know.
I guess.
Approach them. That's the main thing.
See what they want.
Yeah.
I suppose is the answer, but they're the ones I can. Yeah. If I think of any more.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll think. Okay. No worries.
Okay.
Yes, Louise.
Oh, excuse me. I think so. Fubar, which tools do you use for markup, specifically for small or precise distances like 1.6 mil or 1.3 mil?
So always I have a pair of dividers with me. Always have a pair of dividers. Dividers are excellent. And the other thing that I always have with me is a vernier. I always use a digital one. I find it far more accurate than the slide rule ones, as you can see. And you can zero that. And wherever you move that, then it gives you the distance. So it gives you the inside distance here, and it'll also give you the outside distances by here as well. So you can use your dividers. For argument's sake, let's come down to 1.6, as you just mentioned. Let's come down to 1.6. 1.6. This is in hundredths as well. 1.6, 3, 2, 1, 1, 172, 168, 167, 1.6. Okay, 1.6. You can lock it on the top. Now you've got your dividers. You can come along and use these here, which are the outside ones. Take that down until they just go from one to the other. I'm trying to do this basically looking at the camera, but yeah, so that's Barbie 1.6. Nice and accurate. So a nice pair of dividers. Make sure the points are nice and sharp. They come to a nice point, and vernier. So those are the two items that I always use. Sometimes I use a digital gauge, which is a round, not digital gauge, I'm stammering again, a round analog dial gauge, like a leverage gauge. And we often use those as well to measure the diameters of stones. And then also we can also do that with our dividers as well at the same time. So there we go. So those are the two things that I do use. And then also a nice scribe with a nice narrow point as well to get in there to mark off. So those are three things that I would definitely recommend. This is a 6-inch vernier. You can get a 4-inch as well. Or is this a 4-inch? No, this is a 4-inch. You can also get 6-inch as well. Yes, Lou.
Okay. The Odin is asking, what is the shrinkage from 3D printed resin to casting? How much bigger should the 3D model be to get it cast to correct dimensions?
So that depends upon what you are doing. If you are taking it from a cast resin to a finished piece, and that is it, sometimes it's around about, say, 3%. So you have to make something 3% bigger to allow for that little bit of shrinkage. But, so you go from your CAD to finished, yep. Finished piece. So I would say 3%. But if you're doing from CAD to master to rubber mold, then we go on to wax and then finished. You've got shrinkage between the CAD and the master, so there's shrinkage. You sometimes have a bit of shrinkage between here, but not often between the master and the rubber. When you inject the wax into the rubber, you'll get a little bit of shrinkage, so you get more shrinkage here. So your finished item is going to be even smaller. So you've got to make allowances for these two shrinkages. You could double that to 6%, but it depends on what resin you're using to start off with. So what I would do is try one piece. If you're going from CAD to finished piece, allow 3%, try it, finish it, see what it's like, compare it with one item. You can make allowances here, but if you're going from CAD to master to rubber to wax to finished, you've got lots more chances of shrinkage. So what I would do is say allow for between 6 and 10%, try the one item. In your CAD, in the STL files that we do, we can add a percentage to allow for this shrinkage. So if we made up a CAD oval 8x6, for instance, knowing there's going to be shrinkage, you can save it with an extra amount of percentage added onto it. You just simply type in the amount, it'll enlarge your STL file by, let's say, 10%. Then hopefully by the time you come down to your finished item, it should be the right size. But do 10%, try it, see how it comes out, and then you can make allowances, because different casting companies will be using different rubber, they'll be using different waxes, and they all have different shrinkages. So do one, try it and see how it comes out, then you can make allowances.
Okay, so the Odin is asking, if one is making complex jewellery which is difficult to remake, how would one go about taking orders? Is this something that is common?
Say that again.
If you're making complex jewellery,
yep,
which is difficult to remake, how would you go about taking orders?
Difficult to remake. When you say difficult, is it physically difficult?
Complex, yeah, so complex jewellery.
And how do you go about taking orders?
I suppose you'd have photographs, wouldn't you? And sell from photographs.
You would, yes, but I would make it one.
I'd photograph it.
Make it one, yeah. Photograph it so people can see the finished item. Then you've made it once, and you know.
Oh no, we're misunderstanding. Remaking it from reproducing something complex. Is that what you mean?
Reproducing something complex.
Yeah. So that it's not complex to reproduce.
I don't know. I think perhaps going back to the CAD CAM, you could make up sections that would then go together. So you could make up, perhaps for argument's sake, a cluster head, and then you can make up a very detailed shank. So the two then would be cast and could be able to be put together.
I've got some more, sorry. It uses hand engraved and many different enamel parts, sewed, finished separately, then joined together. This making it difficult to standardise it. I don't see that you'd be able to then, would you?
You wouldn't standardise it. You would price it up. You'd price it up as a difficult piece. You would still have to take into account the time taken to make it. Whether it's an easy piece or a difficult piece, you have to charge the price of how long it really takes you to make it, plus all your overheads.
Reproducing it efficiently, I think, is what you mean, the Odin, is it?
Again, you have to standardise. If you've got lots of cells that are pierced, can you get those pieces cast and finish it? If they're...
Let me know if we're misunderstanding the Odin.
If there are cells that you cut out or you burr out, perhaps you can have those cast and then assemble these, perhaps. And then you could reduce the amount of cleaning up and the physical casting time. There are ways around it, so you just let us know exactly how you mean, but you'd still do it by time. If you've got a hand engraved piece, you'd have to either charge for your hand engraving time or an engraver to engrave it. So, you know, a Fabergé egg would cost far more than a cast acorn because of the complexity and the number of stages in it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the USP of the piece is the hand engraving, the enamelling, the fact that you've spent the time and the effort and the skills. I'm not really sure that... Because if you mass produce components and then you bring out a new collection, you don't sell them, you've invested your money in your components then, and that's the other thing, isn't it? So you don't really want to over standardise it because it might cost you more in the long run.
Yeah, that's true.
When actually your client should be maybe bearing a little bit more of that cost rather than you mass producing parts.
Yeah, good idea. Well done, Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Crack on.
Okay. Susan says, you can buy calibrated leaf gauges to sheets of metal marked with thickness. Cool. Jill says, if you're doing one-off custom orders, specify that you have no returns. Yeah, that's...
Well, they're made to order.
Yeah.
They're made to order. Yeah, under the sort of Distance Selling Act, if something is personalised or made to order,
yeah,
there
just
is
make
no
sure
comeback.
that's specified.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to mention this within your terms and conditions that the customer signs, so there's no going back. Should they go, oh, it's not what I thought. Well, there's the drawing, there's what you said, that's what you've agreed to, this is it. And it's been made personally for you, so there's no comeback.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Deposits as well, I think.
Definitely deposits.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Because some people say like half down when you take the order, then perhaps you will create the ring, perhaps don't put the stones in, for instance, get them to come in to try it on. You could take the rest of the balance
we do that,
then,
don't we?
and then when they come to collect it, then it's all done and paid for.
Yeah, I think once you're stung once by that, yeah.
Yeah, so perhaps make it, or deposit when you design it, another chunk off when you've got it to a certain point, perhaps before you polish it, before you go any further with it, because sometimes if we're making rings, say flush set, wedding band for instance, once the stones go in, really hard to style it, to design it any further, to stretch it, to reduce it. So we always get the customer to come in to try the ring on before we add anything that would make it impossible then to resize at a later date.
Because we had a client a couple of years ago, didn't we? We used their own metal and their own stones.
Yep, sent to give us a picture.
We had a picture. You made it exact. It was not a replica, but she had a picture of what she wanted.
Yeah, there's a few more stones in it.
She wanted more stones in it. So you did exactly what she asked.
Yeah.
And she came back and she said, I don't like it.
I don't like it.
But it's exactly what you asked for, and she just didn't like it. And
it swivels on my finger.
It was.
Yeah.
And you ended up giving her money back.
I gave you at the end of the day.
And she kept the ring because it was her own.
Yeah.
Her own materials, and it was. I don't even know how to avoid a situation. I suppose you'd get. I don't know how to avoid a situation like that.
But it was exactly as you say. Within the limitation, we added extra stones to it in a certain place where there was no stones. The picture is basically that is the ring, but it's different because of all the different stones and so forth. And then she went, "Oh, I don't like it. Oh." It was quite top heavy, admittedly, and it swung around on the finger. She said, but that's not like, I said, yes, we don't know if you buy that one, that could do exactly the same. I said, but we've made this for you, and she really wasn't happy. I think we altered it 2 or 3 times, and she still wasn't happy. So I said, do you know what? Just have the piece back.
The money back.
Have the money back.
She was going to keep coming back, and she was obviously going to be dissatisfied too. It was just time to cut losses, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And just end it. But it was, when your heart just sinks. It
doesn't happen often, which is good.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm digressing now, aren't I? Heidi says, "Oh no, I missed the question. So sorry." Christine's saying, in real life, what do you use more often for cleaning up soldered joints? Fine and buff stick or flex shaft with sanding drums or discs?
Okay, so Louise and I were talking about this the other day, weren't we, about polishing and cleaning up and things. We have got so many different types of attachments that goes into a flex shaft that is completely bewildering. You've got silicone discs, carbide discs, you've got 3M discs, you've got tapered rubber burr, there's so much. Which do you use? Which do you start with? But in real life, I come down to the sanding drums. These little sanding drums, these little guys here, they are absolutely brilliant. They come in 180, 240, 320, 400, 600, 800, 1,000, 15 and 2,000 grit. We sell them, okay? We sell hundreds of these a week at thebench.store. So that is something that I would always use. And then also, I use these. If you're a At The Bench member, you know me by now, we love these. These are the white nylon brushes, okay? Not bristle, not goat's hair, they're white nylon. I've tried goat's hair, I've tried bristle. If you spin them too fast, they shed. They come flying out, they stick in your top, you'd be itching, you'd be pulling their hairs out. The white, it's true, you do. The white nylon brushes do not shed. And we love, again, we sell hundreds of these a week again at thebench.store. Go check them out. White nylon brushes, sanding. And do you know what? You can do nearly everything you can possibly do with a white nylon brush. There are one or two exceptions. So I would use, in a flex shaft, a little felt wheel. But the majority of the other times, the white nylon brushes just get in there. They get in there, they clean it, they do like a pre-polish before your final polish. Use that with Tripoli, use it something with a slight aggressive compound, and that is what I use in real life. Don't get me wrong, there are people who don't get on with them, who love the Eve polishing discs. We sell loads of the Eve polishing items as well. Those Frondy, like 3M wheels, the carbide, what are they called? The wheels, the pink wheels, blue wheels, black wheels, knife edge, flat ones.
The E-Flex.
E-Flex, yes. Don't get me wrong, we sell loads of them. Some people get on with them, some people don't. But for value for money, white nylon brushes, bam, go for it. Yes, Louise.
Okay. Good. Heidi is saying, what's your favourite form of casting? Sand, kettle, bone or lost wax, and why?
Okay. I don't have a favourite. It depends upon the application. If I don't mind the texture and I'm making something that's a little bit organic and I don't mind the texture of the cuttlefish, I would use cuttlefish because it has a fantastic texture that is really hard to replicate. But if you're trying to make something that's going to be smooth, highly polished, cuttlefish, you're going to need so much cleaning up to do. So definitely sand casting if you're going to make up just the one item. Sand casting, I would always buy Delft clay. There's Petrobond, there's cheaper versions out there. A lot of the time those cheaper versions are cheaper because they're quite coarse, they're a little bit more dry. When you try and replicate a fine surface, those sands do not work. You're going to spend more time trying to clean them up. But use Delft clay, it's finer. It is more expensive. Again, we sell them in the store. But I would always use a Delft clay if I want a nice smooth surface. But if what I'm trying to make is not able to be cast in Delft clay, say for instance, we're making up a band. Okay, this is my band, and I want to have like a bit of a raised edge on the outside of this coming round like this, and a raised edge on the other side coming round like that. So there's like a bit of a channel in the middle. So the profile would be like that. Okay, so a raised edge on the outside. That does not lend itself to being sand cast because you've got to push it into the mold and pull it back out again. And anything that's raised that has these little underhangs here will not be able to be released out of the sand. So I would go down the lines of lost wax casting. Delft clay I have used for about 20, when was the millennium? When I made the millennium bug?
23 years ago.
So I've been using Delft clay for over 30 years, and I think it is one of the best types of casting mediums for the small bench, the kitchen worktop, your garden shed, small workshop. I think it's absolutely brilliant, but like everything, it has its limitations. You can sometimes get around these limitations, but if you've got something with underhangs, the Delft clay is not going to work. So in that case, lost wax. But you want to produce a nice sort of Neanderthal spearhead. You want to produce a ring that has a fantastic, gorgeous texture upon the top that only cuttlefish can reproduce. I would make it in cuttlefish. So it depends. My favourite is Delft, but each one has its own merits. Yes, Louise.
Good. Anthony's saying, as an inexperienced jeweller, that I don't charge for the full time taken to make each item because I am too slow. If Andrew made a piece, it would take 5 minutes, but I would take an hour.
Yes, I think this is the problem that...
But you'll get faster and faster and faster.
That's right. So yeah, you will find that as you're making something, I was making a ring earlier and it took me, say, 20 minutes to make. I'm thinking I'm flying through this because it is, you do it, you check the joint, you don't really think about what you're doing. It is completely automatic soldering. You know how to solder, it's just automatic. Set the stone, blah, 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 burnish. You can do it quick. I appreciate that. And if you're just learning, it may take all day for you to do it. But as Louise says, the more you practice this trade, the quicker you're going to become. Not necessarily, I'm making rings all day like that particular style, so I'm going to be quicker at doing that. If you're making a ring and you're doing a soldering technique, the next technique you're going to do, the next soldering job you're going to do, you're going to know how to close fit in joints. What's the best way to do it? How are you going to hold it? How are you going to file it? How are you going to put it on the block? Where are you going to put your solder? And the more you do it, the more you hammer, the more you file, the more you buff, the more you polish, the more you clean up, what is going into your head, you'll be able to work it out a lot quicker. Yes, Lou?
I was just thinking, if you make pieces perhaps a little bit faster, how can I put it? If you make pieces faster, so other pieces of the collections faster, is it worth maybe, if you can, bumping them a little bit to absorb that?
Yeah, could do.
If you can get away with it, I know that. I don't know. Is that something that's, because you don't want to take too much of it. You don't want to undersell yourself and fall into that trap, because I think once you start doing that, it's difficult to claw out of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Perhaps if you can, I don't know, make up something really simple and you could look at it and go, perhaps I could add a little bit more onto that
exactly, yeah.
and absorb it that way.
Perhaps you're making plain wedding bands, plain bands, and you can turn them out really good. But then when you want to come to stone setting, it slows you down. Yeah. So perhaps you can add on one and take a bit off another.
Yeah. But simple embellishments, if you can do them quickly, maybe add on a little bit more.
To compensate for it. But you will get faster, you will get quicker. And Louise always says to me, when people say, well, how long is that going to take? Or say 20 minutes. She'll go, no, Andrew, you've been doing this for 30 odd years. Yes, you can do it in 20 minutes, but don't try and rush. Do it to the best of your ability. The more you make, the more you practice, the more you solder, the more you hammer, the more you set, you become quicker and quicker and quicker. So don't worry about having to perhaps charge a whole day's labour to make a ring. Think, okay, well, in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be able to get that down to about 4 hours, 5 hours. Well, then realistically, perhaps charge that, and that's something that you can work down to. But never undersell yourself. Yes, Louise.
Okay, Steve is saying, sadly, many customers love it. This is going back to the question about people not liking their commission.
Oh, yeah.
Sadly, many customers love it and then change their minds from friends' comments. I remind them it was made for you, not your friends. Yeah. What kind of a mate says they don't like it, though? Even if it was one of my friends, I probably would go, oh, lovely.
Oh, it's lovely.
I wouldn't say, oh, no, I don't like that.
Because they've gone for time and the expense of buying it, and you're not going to let them down and go, you know, that's awful.
No, perhaps that's not very nice. Perhaps I'm not very nice fibbing, but I certainly wouldn't say I don't like it.
No.
Got to be diplomatic, haven't you?
I think you have to be in this life, yes.
Yeah. Janet had the same problem as Anthony. Okay. Oh, Barbara, sorry. Barbara's question was about cleaning up solder. White nylon brushes are for polishing, aren't they?
They are, but they are really good for smoothing down surfaces. So if you, again, different types of scenarios. Outside of rings, perhaps a buff stick. Inside of rings to get rid of the solder, perhaps you're looking at sounding drums. If you're looking at in between claws, you can come along with a piece of emery paper. Not that one. Have we got a bit of emery paper in here? I don't. Emery paper, here we go. Emery paper folded in half, so it's nice and thin to get into places. So if you've got too much solder, again, you've got to think, why have I got too much solder? I could have used less solder next time round. That would reduce the amount of solder I've got to remove. Because if you have to remove solder, it means that you've put too much on. And if you put on, say, half the amount of solder next time, you may not have all that cleaning up to do. And the more cleaning up you do of removing solder, That's wasted solder because it's just going into your Lemel. It's wasted time having to clean it up. So I always try and encourage people to use the smallest amount of solder for the possible joint. And the way I look at it is that, say you've got your ring and it's a D section, okay, like that, okay, and you're trying to join that face to that face. How much solder do you use? You only need enough solder that really just covers that area. Very thin, perhaps 0.2 of a millimetre. So, what did I tell him? What did I tell Chris? Don't ring me between 4 and 5. We're doing a Q&A. He's ringing me.
Oh, he's forgotten, isn't he?
He has. So yeah, so all you need is just what would cover the face of the piece. If you've got 2 pieces of metal to solder together, yeah, like that, and you're soldering it flush joint, all you need is enough solder to cover, ideally, the face. You don't need anything more than that, and it has to be really, really thin. If that is a close-fitting joint, it can be like a 1/10 of a millimetre, your bit of solder, as big as that, and that's all you need, because in theory, the solder doesn't need to go anywhere else. If you use a little bit more solder, the solder is going to flow all over here, it's going to flow all over here, and then you've got to clean it off. So use the minimal amount of solder possible for the job. Yes, Louise.
Okay. Mike is saying, have you tried tufa casting? Very easy to cut through the stone, the tufa stone.
I haven't tried tufa casting. It's not something that I've ever tried. I know I've got books that show tufa casting, but I haven't tried. You can put it and mould it around things. I know what you mean. I've never tried it. I've never had the need to try, but yeah, I have heard it's very, very good. And you can use tufa casting for all sorts of things. Yeah, it's very good.
Carrie's saying, how hot should pickle be? Because I'm finding my pieces take a while to get rid of the fire scale.
All right, so in theory, the pickle won't necessarily get rid of fire scale. What the pickle does, I say, I've got a Tommy Tippy by here.
Tommy
Tippy bottle
Vitex
warmer.
pickle salts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In here, I've no idea what temperature this is. Put my finger in. Oh, I've turned it off now. I've got a scale from 0, 1, 2 and 3. I put it on around about 2. We've just got the Durston pickle warmer in. We're going to have a big playing around with that. That heats up the pickle to around about 60 degrees, and that's a fixed temperature. We've got the commercial pickle pot over there as well, and that heats around to about 50 or 60 degrees. That's all you need. It will not necessarily get rid of fire scale. All it is doing, because fire scale goes down quite deep into the metal, all the pickle is doing is removing the copper from the surface, from the microscopic layer over the top. So when you bring it out the pickle and you start to polish it, you'll remove that microscopic layer, and then you're left with the fire stain or fire scale still into the metal, so you physically have to abrade it. If it's just a little bit of oxide from when you heated it up gently, it'll go in and it'll remove those oxides, but the pickle won't necessarily remove anything to do with fire scale. But have it nice and warm. Vitex is what we use as well, 50 to 60 degrees, but I've got a Tommy Tippy, and these heat around about, I think about 40 or 50 degrees, because baby food can't be that warm, can it really? Otherwise it will burn. Yeah, so that's what I use, yes. Oh, yeah, yes, do. Just thought you may have said, yeah, Andrew, baby food has to be heated to 35.
How should I know? I don't know.
You've had a child.
That was 21 years ago. Right. Anthony is saying, I'm in the middle of designing a signet ring for someone who was interested but not yet committed. Thoughts on me using wax, or maybe even buying a cheap ring as a mould? Funnily enough, Rebecca and I had a conversation about something similar the other day. She had a lady who she saw for an initial preliminary chat about a commission, and then it was just all very, very sketchy and very much this is what can be done, and then she went away, and then she came back and she said, have you done it? Rebecca was like, no, I haven't done it, because yeah, so it's...
Nothing was finalised, you won't give me any money.
Yeah, so can I just add that into, because that's really... Yeah, can I just add that? But obviously answer Anthony's bit first.
Yeah. So
It's important to know what you're doing and when.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the advantage.
I should read your question again. In the middle of designing a signet ring for someone who is interested but not yet committed, that's what rang my bell. Thoughts on me using wax or maybe even buying a cheap ring as a mould?
So, we're very lucky. We have a store, we have stock. Someone says, I want a signet ring. We can go into the cupboard and go like this, like this, like this, like this. In between that one and that one, no problem at all. But you don't necessarily have that sort of choice. I would have perhaps a folder on your phone or your iPad with things like rings, earrings and so forth, and within then perhaps pictures from Pinterest or from Google. You save the pictures, signet rings, save it in your rings, signet rings folder, and you go through and you build a little bank of ideas and pictures. So then you can then show your client, you can swipe through, they go, oh, I like that, oh, I like that. You know then what they are thinking about, because it is really difficult, because you can sit here, you've got your client over by the side of you, you can draw a design and they go, I can't visualize that. I find that really hard to visualize it. But if you've got these images to back up what you're trying to put forward, perhaps you want to do a cushion head signet ring, perhaps the size can be textured, can be grooved, anything like that. Save these as ideas on your iPad or your computer or whatever you've got, and you can bring them out when your client comes in. If they say, oh, I like this idea, you say, well, okay, so you want a signet ring? Yeah. You want me to make it? Yeah, I'm not quite sure what style yet. Finalize what they want, get them to leave you a deposit, because then they've committed to it. Because if they don't give you a deposit, there's no commitment, is there?
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. You need to find out the reason for their reticence. Why haven't they committed?
Yeah.
Subtly, obviously, so why won't you commit? Yeah.
Definitely.
What's holding them back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, well, these are the designs. This is what I've got. Okay, so the next step is for me to make a wax for you. And from that wax, we can adjust it, we can add, we can subtract, we can file, we can shape it. Is that something that you want to have a look at? Yes, it is. So you want a signet ring? Yes. Okay, here I want a £30 deposit. That then will perhaps cover your time that will come off the price at the end of it. And once you've got the wax, your client can see how big it is, how thick it is. It may be big enough to put upon their finger.
Is it oval? Is it round? Is it square?
Exactly.
Are the edges curved?
Yeah, there's so much that you can do to it, isn't there?
You can't make assumptions about anything, really, can you?
Exactly.
We've got a book downstairs, haven't we? Where it's got all the different chain types in, and it's for the team downstairs for when they're describing things. Yeah. Because with different levels of experience, so if they're not sure what a chain is called or a type of chain, they can look it up quickly and just...
Exactly.
So yeah, something like you said.
Like a lookbook or something like that.
A lookbook is a really good idea, yeah.
So that's what I would do. Carve the wax, perhaps make it perhaps slightly oversized to allow you to carve into it, and then the customer comes in and they can say, yeah, that's perfect, I love it, or I want the head a different shape. You can file the wax, you can get exactly how it is on their hand, and because you've got the wax, you can work out what the weight is going to be in metal as well for when it gets cast, whether you want to cast it with Delft clay or whether you send it off to a casting company. You can work out what weight it's going to be. Then you've got more indication of how much that is going to cost the client. And if they've given you a deposit, because you've actually created something and made something, their deposit then is non-refundable because they've committed, you've spent time, and you've got the piece in your hand. And if they go, no, I don't want the signet ring anymore, I'm awfully sorry, you've committed to this, I'm keeping this. And if you've got a wax mold and you're making it in Delft clay, you've got that wax mold then forever, and you can reuse that wax mold for another person or another ring, whatever you want to do with it.
Cool.
Make sense?
Yeah, good.
Cool, excellent.
Right. Theoden is saying, question, when using brass brush to shine up a texture, is soap water really necessary? Can it just be clear water?
Yes, it can be. But if it's soapy water, it does work better. It stops, because when you rub brass onto silver, because the brass is yellow, silver's white, sometimes you will get a transfer of colour, bit of brass on the on the silver. But if you have that little bit of lubricant when it comes to the soap or whatever it would be, you don't often get that transference of colour from the brass onto the silver. And whereas your surface is here and you've got the bristles of your brush. These now are directly onto the metal here. If you've got a bit of water, they're directly hitting the metal. But if you've got a little bit of soapy water, it will act as a bit of a what am I trying to say? Almost like a burnishing effect, and the bristles then won't necessarily mark the surface or get it transferred. It's nicer, it's better. I feel you get a better finish with the lubricant, with the soapy water, than if you just had it plain. Yes, Lou.
Good. Janet says, Andrew's advice about the amount of solder to use, I hear him drumming it into me every time I do any soldering. Such sensible advice.
Yes, exactly.
Chris says, more practice changes your way to do things. Very often following lessons online or in school, it's very important to learn from teacher or colleagues and learn tips and tricks to make jobs easier. Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Heidi says, thrilled I found this site. Nice to be part of a community contributing from around the world. Peterborough, Ontario, Canada here. Thank you for sharing your time and expertise. It's very much appreciated. Oh,
thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Heidi.
Oh, you said Peter.
No, I said Peterborough.
Oh, from Peterborough, sorry.
I think I said Peterburg, actually. Okay. I should say any advice undertaken in the chat is done so at your own risk. I'm laughing, but I'm serious. Good. Okay. I think I'm up to date. Good.
Time's running out. Yes, Beth. Yes, give us a thumbs up. Yes.
I think there was another.
Give us a thumbs up. Thumbs up, guys.
I think we've got through all the questions.
Brilliant. 5 o'clock. Bang on time.
Wowee.
Well done, guys. She
Great.
runs with scissors too.
Good.
Yes. So there we go. Brilliant.
Cool.
Thank you very much for that. Good. We're going to go then in that case.
Yeah, got a busy couple of weeks ahead now, haven't we?
Yes.
We've got
Christmas is coming. Goose is getting fat.
Well, we've actually
Please
got
watch Christmas
our
films every possible chance.
Is it possible to add stones when doing sand casting or kettlebone? I like the organic look and how the metal forms around the stones.
Yes, it is. It's called stone in place castings. You've got to be careful what stones you use, because don't forget
that was my tummy. Could you hear my tummy rumbling?
Because you're putting molten metal onto the stone surface, so they can't be anything that is soft. They've got to be hard stones, haven't they, Louise?
They have. So a really good resource is the Working with Gemstones workshop we did with Sally Spencer.
Sally Spencer, if you remember about the bench, check out the workshop section,
yeah.
or buy Sally Spencer's book.
You can buy the workshop. You don't have to be a member. You can buy the workshop on its own.
Yes.
So watch as many times as you like forever.
Yes.
Yeah, and sorry, the book.
Oh, no, you can also buy Sally Spencer's book, The Quick Reference Guide to Working with Gemstones, because within that book she tells you what stones are available, what stones are out there and suitable for stone in place castings. It's a very interesting read. You can't use anything that's soft. Quartz you can't. You have to use usually corundum, which is going to be sapphires and rubies, but you've got to be careful with the stones don't have too many inclusions, because those could. You can't use oil-filled stones, because the oil would just go and the stone would go. You can use diamonds. You can also use mossonites.
Can you?
Because that was a question that we deliberated on when Sally was here, and she even had to check her book to make sure that was right. So you can use mossonites as diamond simulants, or you can use diamonds in it. But obviously, if there's any natural inclusions that could break the stone, you can't use them. We keep a lot of old scrap stones to one side when we dismantle pieces of jewellery. Then we scrap the metal and we keep those stones, and we sometimes use those. But yes, you can embed the stones in the mould, into the sand, for instance, and then cast your stones in place. Doesn't work every time. You have to accept the responsibilities of it not working and the stones falling out at some stage. But yes, it's very, very good.
Cool.
How's that?
Next workshop, Anthony's asking.
Oh, I haven't checked.
I think it was scheduled for the end of November. Yeah.
Okay.
We've got it down for the 27th of November.
Okay. I can't remember what it is. Shall I go and check?
No, I know it's fold forming.
Is it?
Well, that's what we said.
Good.
Whether
We'll do
it
fold
can be
forming. Yeah.
changed
Yeah, we'll
or
do
needs
fold
to be
forming.
changed.
If it is fold forming, make sure you get some ear defenders because it's going to be a loud workshop.
Oh, good.
Bang, 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 bang.
Okay.
Fold forming, various ways. Fold forming using hammers, fold forming using a rolling mill as well. Different textures, simple folded textures, swirly things, the lot. The problem with fold forming, I find is that it is very architectural, very sculptural, and it's very hard to relate that then to jewellery pieces. But did you see the pieces the lady from Walsh did on her neck? What's her name?
Oh, Nettie.
Nettie.
Yeah.
She did fold forming with silver, and she had some lovely sculptural pieces that she was wearing.
Yeah.
Very good. But it is good. It is quite sculptural.
Cool.
Excellent. So that's the next workshop, 27th of November, all about fold forming. And I'm glad you all loved the photography workshop as well that we had last Monday. That's gone live on At the Bench now. If you want to go and check that out, if you're a paid member, it's available to watch now. That is within your subscription. But if you're not a paid member of At the Bench, you can always buy these workshops separately.
Yeah.
We must have about 20 odd workshops now.
There's a lot on there. I didn't realise.
There's so many on there.
The other day, and yeah, there's a lot.
There's more to come. Good. They're hard work, but they're good fun. Anything else we need to say?
I don't think so.
Oh, message to Steve. Steve, Durston Saw, chatting to Durston this morning. There's no re-release of the Durston Saw at the moment. There's no plans to change it or re-release it at the moment. So that's about it at the moment for that. So, yes. Good. Excellent. Yes, Louise, anything else you need to say?
I don't think so.
Good. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Louise got a bit upset because last Monday I didn't say goodbye from Louise, did I?
No, you just said goodbye.
Ta-da.
And then you just, and then that was that.
I do apologise. So today, we're going to say goodbye, and Louise is going to say goodbye as well, so I don't get told. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your week. Keep an eye out on social media. Keep an eye out. We've got some amazing discounts coming up on Durston products. I think somebody mentioned the 24th is Black Friday, but the Monday before, we will give you a discount code if you're a paid member of At the Bench. It could be worth joining to be a paid member of At the Bench because the discount is going to be so amazing. You can get that off the products and you would save money. At the Bench membership and money off Durston products, you'd be in for a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Okay.
Yes, okay, all right. Everyone, we're going to go. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Keep an eye out on all our social medias for what's coming up this week. At the Bench will be taken down for about 2 days whilst we upgrade it. Fingers crossed it'll be this week. And I hope you enjoy it. There's been an email going out to you, to the 30,000 members. That'll be going out today, tomorrow. How fast it goes out, I don't know. But keep an eye out of that. We've given you a nice little brief insight into what the pages are going to look like so you can see what's going to go on. So don't be frightened if there's no At the Bench and the maintenance screen comes up. It's purely we are updating it.
Terrified.
So everyone, enjoy the rest of your week. It is goodbye from Louise.
Goodbye.
Everyone, take care. Enjoy the rest of the week. Bye-bye.